This is Dave, and I'm here with Ethan, and together we are Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, episode 50-inch.
On this week's episode, we interview someone who has been parodied by, covered by, and recorded with Weird Al. It's Chris Ballew of the Presidents of the United States of America.
It's Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
It's a podcast about Weird Al.
It's Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
Seriously, the whole podcast is about Weird
It's
Al.
Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
You don't have to listen, but we're glad you are.
Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
Happy Tax Day, Dave!
Ethan, I'm not sure if you heard, but they moved tax day this year to July 15th.
Oh. Well, I had this great episode planned. We were going to devote the entire episode to all things finance and tax. I had this great transition plan for the Don Ferlazzo ad. I called in some favors, and I got Weird Al's personal accountant. He's on standby right now, waiting for our phone call.
All right, Ethan, calm down. As exciting as that sounds, maybe we can have our intern Frank reschedule him for later this summer. But this week, we have Chris Ballew from the Presidents of the United States of America as our guest.
Oh, that's great! Well, can we at least do the Al news segment?
Sure.
Well, I think the elephant in the room is the huge New York Times Magazine story that came out this past weekend.
I think the elephant in the room is that horrible pun. But yes, on Thursday, April 9th last week, the New York Times profile of Weird Al finally hit the internet, and it also appeared in the Sunday edition of the New York Times. For those of you who were lucky enough to track down the paper on Sunday, there are actually two articles. The main article starts on page 40 of the New York Times Magazine.
And for that one, the giant picture of the fans is right there on page 40. And if you flip over to page 42, right at the beginning of the actual article, there's a solo picture of our good friend Adriana Jugovic dressed as Weird Al.
That is so cool. Now, the accompanying article is on page 2 of the main section of the New York Times newspaper. It's all about the fans who attended the photo shoot. And Ethan, you remember, now besides Adriana, many of our friends were there at the photo shoot and appeared in that picture with Al.
I was blown away by the article, Dave, and I know a lot of the Al fans agree just by talking to people and by people commenting and sharing the article. Reading through it, it was so well written, and it really gave us new insights into Al's life and career. And that's rare for an article to give you and I new insights into Al's life and career.
Yeah, and this was a great article. It's been a long time since we've had such an amazing article like this written about Al. There is so much to discuss. I feel like we could do a whole episode on just that article alone and the events leading up to it. We should have Sam Anderson, the journalist who authored the piece, on as a guest sometime.
That is a great idea, Dave! In the meantime, we urge our listeners to go check that article out. You will love it. And if you don't like reading, they even put out a podcast of someone reading the article.
I listened to that podcast. It was great because, I don't like reading, and I also love podcasts. So it was perfect. Also last week, there was a clip of Al from the new Looney Tunes that surfaced. It features Al as two Milwaukee trees named Al and Weird. So his characters, they issue a polka challenge to Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, and Porky Pig, and they sing a new song called Polka City.
It's really great. You got to check that out. Al must have recorded this a little bit ago because his website in the upcoming TV and film section has listed the new Looney Tunes for quite a while. And as a heads up, that section currently says, listen for Al's voiceover work on upcoming episodes of American Dad, Pete the Cat, Candace Against the Universe, Close Enough, New Looney Tunes, and Star Wars Detours. Al will also appear on upcoming episodes of The Eric Andre Show, Reno 911, and Auntie Donna's House.
Oh, Reno 9/11, that's a show with Thomas Lennon, who spoke at Al's star ceremony.
Yeah.
I love that show. Oh, and Jackie and I, man, we love American Dad. That is going to be so awesome.
I know this is an unpopular opinion to some people, but I like American Dad even more than Family Guy. It's my favorite of Seth MacFarlane's shows.
I agree with you. I love American Dad more than I love Family Guy, and I really like Family Guy.
I cannot wait for all these appearances. And I hope Star Wars Detours is real, because I've seen clips of that show and it's supposed to come out for years and it looks hilarious. So hopefully with Disney in charge, they're going to bring it out for us. And for Candace Against the Universe, that's a Phineas and Ferb movie. So I bet that means Milo Murphy makes an appearance.
Ethan and I will constantly refresh WeirdOwl.com and refresh YouTube and do our best to keep you updated on when these shows actually air. Last Friday was superfan and Owl poster artist Jeff McClellan's UHF Live Watch event.
If you missed it, be sure to head on to Twitter and search hashtag UHF Live Watch to catch up on all the trivia and jokes.
And we tweeted out a few pictures of me at some of the actual filming locations in Tulsa as well.
It was a lot of fun. Thank you to Jeff McClellan for putting it all together.
Ethan, remember last week we asked our listeners to submit their takes on our awesome sponsors ads? Well, look, here's one right now.
This week's episode brought to you in part by vegan Mexican restaurant Burrito in Troy, New York, home of the 2-pound double wrapped in a quesadilla burrito. Come on down to Burrito and Burrito, your burrito. Find them at burritosquare.com and at Burrito Squared on Instagram. And remember, not every burrito is a burrito, but every burrito can be burritoed.
Thank you to our listener, Vincent Anderson, for reading that tongue twister of an ad. And after he sent it, he said, "How did you guys read that so fast every week?"
Well, I record myself yelling random crap with a mouthful of water twice, and then I have our intern Frank reverse them both, and I overlay them on top of each other. Tricks of the trade.
Another thing we wanted to mention, our friend Metal Al, a.k.a. Chad Kelson, recently released UH Death, his long-awaited follow-up to Dare to Be Metal, with even more metal Weird Al song covers.
I love this. Some of the songs included are CNR, UHF, Let Me Be Your Hog, and there's even a medley of Al's food songs, aptly called Food Metally.
Plus, if you download the album from Bandcamp, it comes with a special bonus track. It's the cover that he did of our theme song by Jim Kimo West.
That is so awesome. It's worth the download just for that theme song. So be sure to pick up Metal Al's albums by heading over to metalal.bandcamp.com.
And Dave, did you know that Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast is brought to you in part by Dave Canyon's Dumbing It Down with Dave podcast? It's the fastest podcast on earth. Dave Canyon records from his 2008 Kia Rio LX while commuting to and from work on the New York State Thruway. Discussion topics include family, friends, relationships, pop culture, workplace situations, politics, and human behavior. It's all about pragmatism, truth, happiness, and the search for it all. Listen everywhere podcasts are available and at dumbingitdownwithdave.com. Dave, I have something to come clean about.
Oh boy, not that whole National Burrito Day thing again, is it?
No, this one doesn't involve no, it's something different.
Well, Ethan, this is a safe place. I hope you know that you can tell me and all of our listeners around the world what is on your mind. Your deepest, darkest secrets.
Okay, you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
All right, well, sometimes
you what?
Sometimes I listen to music other than Weird Al.
What? Are you kidding me?
I'm sorry.
I knew I should have gotten that tarantula or spider as a co-host when I had the chance. You know, he only spins two things, Webs and Weird Al albums.
Don't rub it in.
Now, Ethan, don't cry. I think it's okay if you don't exclusively listen to Weird Al, but only as long as your listening habits similarly follow the Canadian Radio, Television, and Telecommunications Commission radio broadcasting rules for protecting Canadian culture and identity.
You mean it?
Yes. Much like Canadian radio stations must air a minimum of 35% of music made by Canadians, as long as you're listening to Weird Al music at least 35% of the time, you qualify to be one of Weird Al's biggest fans and a co-host of Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast. And it doesn't hurt that your name is Ethan.
Oh, phew, that's great news. Well, I definitely hit the 35% rule. I think I clock in around 99.27%.
I feel like you can get that percentage number up a little bit, but yeah, okay, I'll allow it just this one time. So, why did you decide to bring this all up?
Well, Dave, I wanted to mention that when I'm not listening to Weird Al,
Right, in the 1 hour, 13 minutes, and 35 seconds per week you've allotted?
one of my absolute favorite artists to listen to are the Presidents of the United States of America.
Oh, yeah, they are the amazing band behind Lump, which Al parodied with his song Gump from the double platinum Bad Hair Day album.
Yes, Lump is probably the only, quote, original song I listen to on a regular basis.
You mean within your 63 hours, 46 minutes, and 20 seconds per year of non-Weird Al music listening time?
Yes, exactly. So you can understand how excited I am for our guest this week.
I know how excited I am. I can only imagine how excited you are.
We are thrilled to have on the program someone known to fans of music and fans of Al for decades. He's the lead singer of my favorite non-Weird Al band, the Presidents of the United States of America. He's more recently known for his Grammy-nominated children's music records under the name Casper Babypants, and his credentials in the Weird Al universe make him as close as humanly possible to a Weird Al version of an EGOT. Not only has he written a song about Al, Al parodied one of his songs, covered one of his songs, and performed on one of his songs, and so much more. We are delighted to introduce the amazing Chris Ballew.
Woohoo! That's me. That's me.
Thanks for joining us.
What do I win? What do I win?
You win a spot on Dave and Ethan's 2,000-inch Weird Al podcast.
Oh, I've wanted that my whole life. Thank you. Thank you.
Chris, we've wanted to have you on the show since before we even started the podcast. You came up as someone who we just absolutely had to have on, so we're thrilled to have you on. It finally came true.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Any chance to talk about Al, I will jump at it. He's a fantastic human being, and he's become a good friend, and I love him as a musician and a person. So I'm happy to espouse on the Al.
So what's really exciting as a Presidents of the United States of America fan, very recently, you guys had a Kickstarter campaign to release the first album on vinyl for the first time. I am thrilled. I'm thrilled to have pledged. I'm thrilled that it made it. I'm thrilled that it's coming soon. What can you tell us about that?
Well, it's something that I kept bringing to the table every time Dave and Jason and I would get together. We get together like 3 times a year for a little like powwow, have lunch and talk about stuff. And generally it's like businessy stuff. And I kept bringing up like, hey, we need to do vinyl, because I've been doing Casper Babypants vinyl and it's been selling really well. And after 2 years of me trying to bring it up, and I actually kind of put the word out and got a bunch of, proposals from independent record labels and even Sub Pop and a bunch of other places.
Wow.
To collaborate on it. And in the end, Jason kind of took it over because I realized I was just too busy with the Casper thing to spearhead it. So Jason Finn, drummer extraordinaire in the Presidents, spearheaded this whole thing. He wrote all the copy. He organized everything. He kind of took all the people that I got, proposals from and sifted through them and figured out a plan. And he basically shouldered most of it and hired one of the independent publicists or coordinators to help with coordinating the whole thing. And he just knocked it out of the park. I mean, he I think it took his toll on him. He was like, he's not used to doing that kind of like intense organizational stuff, but it's right in his wheelhouse. He used to love the part of touring where it's like, the game of settling the show or negotiating the deal. He was really into the sort of art of the deal, if you will.
Oh, wow.
And so it was kind of perfect that he could take that over. And, I kicked in stuff with like art stuff for the record, pictures for promotion and stuff like that, but he really did most of it. So, we launched it, and I think we achieved our goal in like 30 hours or something, just over a day. And then it just went on and on and on and on and on. And we didn't do it really because we couldn't afford to make the albums. We did it because we wanted to see how many people wanted them, really.
Right.
So that we didn't end up making, 10,000 albums and then 1,000 people want albums and then we've got 9,000 albums. So I just like to say that because, I'm a little torn on the whole Kickstarter, crowd sourcing thing. My punk rock DIY self is like, that's bullshit, man. If you do what you can do,
Right.
work with your limitations, and then, but there's the other side of it where people really love to be connected to the band in that way, and they love to feel like they're part of the part of growing the project and making the project happen. So I get that, and then also, like I said, with the vinyl, it really helps to know how many to make. So yeah, it was good. It was good, and I think we achieved our goal like something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, like 12 times over or something by the end.
One for every inch. That's great.
Yeah, there you go, up the 12-inch. Yeah, so that's kind of that, and I think we signed over 3,300 albums.
Jeez.
Which was and we luckily got that done right before the shutdown, shelter in place thing. So those are all apparently off and running, and so everything's still on schedule with that, despite all the weirdness, as far as I know.
Well, one of those signed ones is coming to me, so I'm very excited for that.
All right, we set aside the best one for you.
Oh, good. Now, you guys did a kind of a crowdfunding thing, really before crowdfunding was a regular thing. It was a Pledge Music, right?
Oh yeah, Pledge Music. Was that the one we did for Kudos to You?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
You had these really cool prizes, like original handwritten lyrics and stuff like that. Did that just come from like, hey, I'm going to clean out my garage and just?
Yes, it did. I'm a raging minimalist.
Okay.
So every so often I get really like upset by how much detritus I have from my life, and I just look at it all and go like, what's important? And I went through this phase where I was like, I'll just take a picture of everything, and then because somebody out there is going to want the original lyrics for Lump. They're not really doing me any good sitting in a box in my house, and it's going to make somebody out there super happy to have that. So I just took a picture of it and then gave it away.
That's so cool.
I was the source for a lot of that stuff. And then we gave away like 20 or 25 2-strings and 3-string guitars.
Whoa.
We had to set up. And those came with a lesson, an online lesson.
No way.
Yep. Yeah, that was a very successful campaign too. That was great.
And a great album came of it. I was thrilled. And that was really the first time I, really contributed to an online crowdfunding thing. And I thought it went really well.
Yeah. Was that the early days of that kind of thing? I wasn't really super aware of where that landed in the history of those things.
It was definitely early on. It was before it was mainstream. And what's interesting to Weird Al fans is Pledge Music is what Al ended up using for his Squeeze Box campaign.
Oh yeah, that's the big box set, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's another. I mean, again, I'm sure he did that to get a sense of the interest. It's a great tool for that kind of thing.
Oh, totally.
In fact, geez, I have a new Casper 7-inch single that I'm thinking of making. Maybe I should do a little thing like that so that I know how many to make.
Yeah. Hey.
Wait a minute. Maybe I should hire Jason Finn to do that for me. That is a good idea. Okay, here we go. I'll put that on the to-do list.
Yeah. So I guess I never realized how DIY the Presidents were. Like, so it sounds like Jason was kind of your tour manager in a sense.
Well, not in the old days. We had a manager, Stacy Slater. And then when we broke up, we didn't have a manager, obviously. And then we got back together, and we kind of had Stacy again for a minute. And then we went to this guy, Dave Meinert, and he was with us until I think Jason did become our drum manager, as we called him. I think that was like, I want to say like 2011 or 12 or something like that. Jason, or 10, 11, something like that. He stepped in and did the job, and it worked out well. I mean, we were on the back end of our arc at that point anyway, so we were kind of, gigs were a lot less frequent, and it was easier to deal with. So, yeah.
Now, I know all the President's fans are wondering, and they're going to want me to ask this, with the successful Kickstarter, is there any chance we're going to see, reunion shows or new albums or new music?
You know what? My attitude of that is always never say never. Because if, we broke up in 98 and at that point I was like, oh, there's no way I'm done, lo and behold, we got back together again 5 years later for 13 more years. So you never know. I don't really own that gear anymore. I don't have in-ear monitors. I don't have those two strings. I gave them away, and I gave away my amp, and so I don't really own the gear. I do own the original two-string that I played on the debut album, though, so I could go back to my roots and play that, which would be kind of cool.
That would be really
cool. I guess the short version of the long story is I don't see it happening. I mean, just as a person, I'm definitely done making music that's so loud that I have to plug my ears. Let's put it that way. I will not be plugging my ears at my own show ever again. Because, I have enough tinnitus to last me for the rest of my life. So, yeah.
All right. So we talked a little bit about the President's United States. And, of course, you've got that great #1 hit, on the Billboard's Modern Rock charts, Lump. And then, of course, Al turned that into Gump. Can you tell me a little bit about the process? How did you find out that Al was going to do the song Gump to your Lump?
Wow, I do not remember how I found out. I remember feeling incredibly happy about it. I mean, I grew up watching MTV. I was there when MTV came online. Me and my friend Dale were in his basement. They had a giant projection TV, and we watched it go from static to bzz, here they are.
Wow.
Yeah, and so, that generation of people, Weird Al's knitted into that world. He was built for MTV.
Yeah.
And, that just seemed like another world, a faraway land of, people who were not me. And I would probably never hang out with any of them. So when I find out he's making a video and, that's great, and lo and behold, I'm the lead singer, he'll be playing me in a video. I mean, the kid watching MTV on the couch can't make sense of that, In fact, still to this day, there's a lot of people I know and people I collaborate with that I look at them kind of sideways like, why are you hanging out with me? I'm just that kid on the couch watching MTV. It's ridiculous. So anyway, it was a super big honor, amazing. A jewel in the crown.
You bring up a really good point, because for the hundreds of parodies Al's done, the number of times that he's actually dressed up and parodied the actual person who's the singer in the original is pretty rare. I mean, it's only happened, a dozen or so times. So that's actually a really rare thing to have happen.
Yeah, I know. It's great, and he did a great job with it, and his high kicking is comparable to mine for sure. I haven't done my high kicks for a while. He's a little more limber at this point than I am. So. Although I talked to him the other day, and he's kind of just sitting around the house, so maybe he's not as limber with the whole shutdown thing. I might be more limber.
I did see in an interview, I believe it was with the Midnight Star, you did say that you learned about the song Gump in a face-to-face conversation with Al.
Oh, did I?
You did.
Wow. I don't remember that. And there's an amazing amount of stuff to forget, I have learned. It's a lot to forget.
And the interview also, you said that you were the first person that Al actually played his parody to.
Jeez, I don't remember where that happened. That's crazy.
All right, I'll send you the interview.
Wow. Yeah, no, I mean, I believe it. I believe what I said. It's so weird. There's so much happened during those years. It's just I guess my brain couldn't process all of it.
Yeah.
So.
It was also 24 years ago that interview happened. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And, Al and I have hung out a lot, so it's not like it was the only time we ever interacted. So.
Right. So obviously you were a fan of Al, and you reacted excitedly when you found out. How did the rest of the band take it? Were they all as excited?
I think I was the most excited, actually.
Yeah.
I don't think Dave and Jason, I don't know. I don't want to speak for them, but I got the impression that it was really kind of less of a, I don't know, like less of a big deal to them than it was to me for some reason. I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. I think Dave and Jason kind of were, I don't know, they had a little different vision of the band maybe than I did. I think when the band started getting bigger, I think they liked that growth, and I did not like that growth. I liked our little cabaret act for 100 people, where things could get weird and we could make stuff up. And when the band got bigger, we became more of a machine, fire up the machine. Here we go. We're in front of 50,000 people on a racetrack in Germany. We got to reach the back. So let's keep it together. And I always felt like they kind of thrived on that. They fed more off that than I did. But I don't know. I don't want to speak for them again. You'd have to talk to them. So when I think at the point when Al came into our universe, I think those guys were feeling like I think we were on slightly different pages as far as I still thought of the band as this silly, stupid thing, and not stupid, but kind of not professional, like amateur, goofball, cabaret, silly song machine. Yeah. And I think those guys were kind of on the way to thinking of us as like a legacy act that we're going to grow and make lots of records and be influential. And somehow the association with Al maybe was more exciting to me than it was to them, because I think they might have seen it as more of a less serious kind of thing. I don't know. It's again, it was a long time ago, and that's a long-winded answer that's kind of also through the fog of time, and with a lot of disclaimers, because I don't want to speak for Dave and Jason, but but there you go. There's my answer. And then I just trail off.
All right, so then jump ahead 12 years or so, and you have the song Mixed Up SOB, which Al was the director on. So then that was your idea, I assume, to have Al direct that video? Yeah, it was. Yeah. I think by that point, we had Andrew in the band. We had a different guitar player. We had broken up. We had reformed. We were feeling more relaxed about ourselves and our place in the world, Again, like when we were on our ascent, we were being given a lot of smoke being blown up our butts by people in suits saying that we're important, And I think that's what kind of got to Dave and Jason. And so at this point, we're reformed after a 5-year break. Dave has left the band, and it's a little more like, okay, we're just a silly little band. So, and Al's a great director. I love the other videos he's made, and he had this very elaborate idea to do flip books. So there was a whole day of shooting to make the books, and then he went away and had the books made, and then we got back together and we had to rehearse flipping the books in time. Wow. I was the only one that could actually do the books in time. So I had to do all that while Jason and Andrew sat around. Yeah. So, and it's a little frustrating because I think it was a great idea, but the image inside the flip book got so small when it went inside a frame and showed the hands, and then it went on YouTube, which is all, so the action of the video, a lot of it is a little hard to read because it's in a book, which is in a frame, which is in the YouTube environment. So, but it was a cool, ambitious project, and it was really, really fun to work with Al on that, on a, creative project over the course of time.
I love that video. I love that song and that album. But I'm so curious about what goes into directing a music video with so many kind of like, the flip books and the green screen effects and the Guitar Hero stuff. Like, what goes into actually putting that together? What sort of things was Al working on?
Well, all of that. I mean, he had to reverse engineer the whole thing so that the flip book parts were, he had to come up with the basic concept, I guess, of like sometimes flip books would come in and interact with each other and push each other out of the way, or something would happen in one that would affect the image in the other. So he had to kind of reverse engineer it from what he wanted to making the books and doing the initial shoot. So yeah, it was a real like math problem jigsaw puzzle to us, and that's
Al's mind.
Yeah.
I think he approaches projects very meticulously and with a lot of patience and attention to detail and a high standard of quality. So I think for him it was a lot of pre-work for him that we didn't see. So
right.
We just kind of showed up and he's like, okay, here's what we're going to do. You're going to, hold your breath and then you're going to do this move. And it was all like, it was kind of like when we shot the Peaches video and Roman Coppola, who made that, had watched a Kung Fu movie and he was like, I want to have you guys get attacked by ninjas. And so we shot all that in pieces, like, all right, this one you're going to fall backwards and that's it. Okay, now the next shot you're going to jump out of this tree into an airbag, and then he just took all that away and made it into a sequence. So Al it was the same thing. It was like, I want you to hold your breath. Okay, hold it longer. Good. Okay, that's it. And then let's go to the next thing. So it was really kind of piecemeal and mysterious to us. We didn't really know what was going on.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Oh, but one other thing, we did hang out with Al the night before the first shoot, or maybe it was the night before the second shoot when we had the flip books and we were trying them out. Went to his hotel room, which was in the Edgewater Inn where the Beatles stayed when they were in Seattle. So that was kind of fun to be in I'd never had a reason to go in there, so got to go in the hotel, and I'm a massive Beatles fan, duh. And so that was kind of a nice moment. Not only did we get to hang out with Al, but we got to do it where the Beatles slept.
That is really cool. Yeah, because you live in Seattle. You don't really go to a hotel very often.
No, not in Seattle, no. Yeah.
So going back to Lump for a second, I was curious, when you're writing Lump, did, Forrest Gump was a big movie at that time. Did any Gump-ness come into your brain as you're writing Lump, or was it just completely a separate track?
No, not at all. Really, I don't frankly remember coming up with the chorus. I had it on a little tape deck. I used to sort of collect little song ideas on a microcassette player kind of thing, recorder. And then I would kind of put it on and clean my room or do the dishes or whatever and kind of wait for this sort of swirl of fragments of songs to grab me, like something might kind of leap out and I'd be, whoa, that's cool, what's that?
Yeah.
And if it didn't do that, I would kind of ignore it. So that kind of jumped out, and then I kind of just threw the verses together. I imagined literally what the song says is what I saw in my head, which is a woman in a housecoat sitting in a river, like a big, dumb woman. I don't know why, but... my way of writing songs is I have to see something in my mind, and then I just describe it with the lyrics. But the first step is I have to have something to describe. If I don't, I can do just a song that sounds cool or whatever, but if I don't have some picture, I feel like I just feel like a song that describes an image has a leg up on songs that are more abstract. So anyway, yeah, I just saw that image in my head and sang about it, basically.
So as a fan of both Lump and Gump, what I love as maybe the best outcome of the parody is now when you guys have performed Lump live, you do end the song with Al's line, and that's all I have to say about that. And I got to see that in person a few years ago, and it was just amazing.
Oh yeah, we started doing that right away.
Yeah.
And that's all I have to say about that. Yeah. In fact, at a certain point, I kind of forgot that was Al's line.
Yeah.
I hadn't listened to our version for so long, I forgot. And then I think we were remixing it for Rock Band or something, and I heard our ending, and I was like, oh. That's not our. That's Al's ending. I forgot.
I don't think that a story like that has happened on any other musicians. I feel like that's a unique thing. Dave, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. It might be. Yeah, what do you think, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard the American Pie song. That guy.
Oh,
Saga
Vader.
Begins.
Yeah, Saga Begins. Might be Vader someday later, but for now. What, you saying Don McLean?
Don McLean, yeah,
when
we'll reference that song occasionally. But yes, I mean, definitely I get, the fact that the original band, the Presidents of the United States, took some of Al's lyrics and incorporated it into their own live performance, that kind of thing has not happened before.
Yeah. I think it's a little funny too that he covered a song by us, because typically, he'll take a song that's serious or, trying to be badass like Michael Jackson's Bad and make it fat. So he takes something and he kind of like neuters it. And we were already silly. And then he made us more silly.
Right.
So I don't know if there's another band where he's covered a song. Like, I feel like we're sort of in the same universe to begin with, and then he covers one of ours. You know what I mean? Like,
I guess Lola, to some extent, is not seen as a serious song when he did Yoda.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's true. The Kinks. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
But it's still a rare thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Definitely.
I love it. So the last thing I had on Lump and Gump, when he's actually filming this video and he's dressing up like you guys were already friendly at that point. Was there any talk of you actually making a cameo in the video or on the track or anything like that?
No, that never came up. That would have been amazing, but no. I wish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you and the band ever performed Lump but sang Al's lyrics all the way through?
No, we haven't. We have had Al do the song with us.
Yeah?
Yep, in L.A. We did that one time. He popped up for an encore, and we did his version. We had done it in the set, and then we did it in the encore, and he sang it.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, and then we also, we've had him pop up on stage a lot. We've, one time in L.A., we communicated, we were on our way to LA, and I called him up and I was like, let's do something, something at the show. We didn't know what we were going to do. And Boston's More Than a Feeling came to mind, because I literally listened to that song every day while I was writing all the songs for the debut President's record.
Okay.
And I literally would wake up this morning and the sun was gone, put on some music to start my day, lost myself in a familiar song. Like, every day I would start the day with that thing. And so I was like, let's do More Than a Feeling with you on accordion. And so lots of back and forth and, listening to the original, transposing it to our instruments. Al actually had to go buy an electronic accordion, which is totally against his religion, because our songs are all in C sharp, because that's what our guitars are tuned to. So C sharp is a very awkward key on the keyboard, and so we had to transpose the song a half step or two to play along with us. So yeah, he actually went out and bought an electronic accordion just to do this one song. There's a really crude video of it up on YouTube. So, but I like the crudeness because it's very distorted and like out of control. And at that point on tour, I had a fan in front of me because I get really hot. Mm-hmm. I don't have any hair, so it wasn't a big deal. But Al got in front of the fan, and it was just blowing his hair like he was in like a, 1982 heavy metal video. It was amazing.
Wow.
And actually, after that night, I think, if I remember right, he said, "Oh, a fan on stage, what a great idea." And he started using a fan on stage. Yeah, because he was like, "Oh, I didn't know I could do that."
I love that story that Al bought the electronic accordion, because he did use an electronic accordion, possibly that exact one, on his ill-advised Vanity tour a couple years ago.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. Well, that's how I remember it. Obviously, you say Al listens to the podcast. So, Al, if I got anything wrong about anything, let me know. Because, my memory is not that tight. I don't remember you playing me the song back in the day. So,
well, what's really amazing, I believe the three of us were actually at a show together.
Stringed, what was it? Strings Attached tour here in Seattle. I don't know, that was 6 months ago, maybe.
Which show was? I know there were 3 shows.
Yeah, he lost his voice. It was bad news. I saw the first one, the Friday, would have been the Friday night.
Friday. Yep.
Yeah, and then he had 2 shows the next day, and I had gotten my niece in to see him, and her son is a massive fan, and but Al couldn't hang out with him because after the morning Saturday show, he kind of lost his voice, so he had to conserve. That was the most shows he's done in a row ever.
So he was like, as you know, that close together.
Right.
So it was kind of a stressful scene for him. But when we hung out on Friday night after the show, he didn't know he was going to lose his voice. He probably lost his voice because we were talking too much. Sorry about that, everybody.
What's really amazing about the Ill-Advised Vanity Tour, Al ended each of his sets, in the encore with a cover of someone else's song. So not a parody, straight cover.
Oh, yeah.
And he covered Peaches in Augusta, Georgia. What a perfect place.
Yes, I did see that, actually.
When did you hear about that?
I saw it online. I don't know if he told me about it, maybe? I can't remember. I think he did. I think he sent me a link. Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, I thought it was great. Yeah.
I love hearing Gump, where it's like his own words, but then I love hearing his interpretation of one of your songs. I think that's just so cool.
Yeah, I do too. It's great. That was such a great idea, doing a different cover every night in the encore. I love that. It's a really fun challenge for somebody who's been on the road for as long as he has.
Yeah, they did a lot of shows, so that was a lot of songs to learn and do one time.
Oh yeah, totally. Well, I mean, he's just like a musical mathematician. So I think he can. He's one of those. I think he's one of those people who can kind of absorb and rebroadcast stuff easily. I am like other people's songs. I have a hard time with that. I am so wrapped up in my own song universe in my head that I cannot remember. I do lots of fundraiser things. Like there was a Neil Young themed fundraiser for a charity here in Seattle, and it was a very simple song that I picked, but I just had to have the lyrics printed out because I can't get inside other people's songs. I can't see what they saw. Like when I sing a song now, well, with the Presidents, I would remember what I originally saw when I wrote it, and then the lyrics would come because there was the picture. But with other people's songs, I don't know what the picture is. So
one thing that I really enjoy about Presidents is that you guys have given us kind of a look inside some of your thought processes. You've released a lot of those demo tracks. The Monkey River EP, hearing all these different versions, is really interesting for a fan to.
That's not even an EP. That's a full album.
Right. Yeah, that's true. How many? Yeah, that's full album worth of tracks. But I guess I think of it as an EP. But yeah,
right.
It really is a full album. I mean,
you know what? Later on, I realized that I missed one. I had another one that I completely forgot to put on there. So,
what was the story behind that album?
Oh, it's that song. I mean, that song's about when I was a little kid, and I went to the zoo, and I remember this. I really wanted to jump over the fence and live with the monkeys on Monkey Island at the zoo. And I just would spend the whole day like trying to climb up. It was like kind of a cement curved barrier. And I would try to climb up this thing and get over it. No thought about what would happen if I actually got in there. And I tried to write this song about just, I don't know, maybe what I thought it would be like to live in there. Mm-hmm. And so I had this very strong, like emotional, kind of abstract feeling about this atmosphere I wanted the song to conjure. And I just couldn't get the recorded versions to do that. I couldn't, the chords were there and everything, but I couldn't figure out whether it was supposed to be heavy or sparse or guitars or, distorted or acoustic or whatever. I just couldn't find the right chemistry that made that super magical feeling get rebroadcast back out of the speakers. Mm-hmm. So I just kept trying over and over and over, and I don't think I ever figured it out. I even did a completely different version with different chord progressions on the first Casper Baby Pants album, and it wasn't it either. So I've really never been able to decode or recode that feeling into a song. So, yeah. So I just thought, this is a weird opportunity. I could show the whole, if none of them are right, maybe all of them are wrong. Or if they're all wrong, maybe all of them are right. There you go.
It's kind of like a vulnerable thing for a musician to put out, something that's necessarily not finished or not the version that you see. I mean, what gave you that confidence to put out something that really, I think, is an amazing look into your brain?
Well, I started out making cassettes of weird 4-track recordings, and then I got really abstract with that, and I would put out really rough, just weird shit. That's my whole, like, origin is DIY, messy, amateur, 4-tracky, all the warts, all the mistakes, just let it go. And as I've become more of a, developed musician and had success and stuff, some of that's fallen away, and it's become more about, like, with the Casper stuff, my sort of goal is to make songs that are like analogous to like a fine dovetail joint box, like a beautiful crafted little woodwork project or something, but all the parts fit perfectly together and they're all balanced and all going towards a direction. Versus in the old days, I was super sloppy. So I like to show the sloppy side sometimes because it's my, it's my origin kind of vibe,
right?
If you will.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course, you just mentioned Casper Baby Pants. Now, what inspired you to change your career from a rock musician into a children's musician?
Well, my whole life, I've been trying to figure out who I am as a person, and then trying to make sure that I'm making music that is completely transparent as far as representing who that person is, who I really am. So it took me a long time to figure out who I really was. There was a lot of experimenting and figuring, like mistakes and messes and good decisions and successes, messes and successes, if you will. And but all the while, I knew there was this sort of ultimate destination where I would finally figure out who I am and how that true nature was supposed to be expressed musically. The Presidents were pretty close, but definitely not it. It was too chaotic, too crazy, too, flavor of the month, too much pressure, too much coolness. Whether we were trying to be cool or not, we had to relate to what was cool. And I just always felt like, this is not it. This is great. This is fine. Yay, we're successful. And I just discovered over time that I am much more kind of, the President's music was like innocence and innuendo kind of mixing. It was like, are we singing about a kitty and peaches, or is it double entendre? And the friction between those two really made that band go. And I knew that wasn't really what I wanted to do because I had a hard time replicating it. We captured it on that first record, and then recapturing it was really stressful and difficult. And I knew that my final destination wouldn't be so hard to, it wouldn't be so hard to write songs once I figured it out. And then over time I realized, well, I'm actually way more just the innocent stuff. I'm not as much the, innuendo and the sexuality and all that stuff in the songs. I'm more like a kid. I'm more like, I want to live like a kid. I want to, see the world like through little children's eyes. Everything's new. Everything's weird. And so I started making these songs that were more and more simple and acoustic. And this is after, 15 or 20 years of trying different experiments on the side to see what is this music that I'm supposed to be making. Mm-hmm. And finally, I met my second wife, Kate, and her artwork really struck me. It was very simple and innocent and bright and well-formed and full of animals and, beautiful and folksy and simple. I was like, all these adjectives I want to use to describe this elusive music, and I started making music to that was inspired by her artwork, and realized, oh my God, I should be making kids music. That's it. It was like this huge cartoon light bulb went off over my head. And and it was incredibly relaxing when I figured it out. And it's turned out to be the right decision because, I'm putting out my 17th album in 10 years on May 1st. Wow. And I've got 2 more after that are almost done. So the just like outpouring of creativity is, the most obvious evidence that I found my voice. So it really wasn't a decision to like try something else. It was just this lifelong search concluded.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
What's really incredible is this past year you were nominated for a Grammy for your work as Casper
Yeah, I
Babypants.
was. And I didn't solicit for that. That was somebody contacted me from the Academy and said, hey, I want to put you up for consideration. And I said, fine. And then I got the nomination. I was like, fine. And then I didn't win. I was like, fine. It's easier to say 3 times Grammy nominated than twice Grammy nominated, 1 time Grammy winner. So I'm happy I lost.
I mean, that must have been, though, like a good, you know, obviously the Casper Babypants stuff is selling well and it's popular, but that's the industry saying, hey, you didn't make the wrong choice by going into children's music. You made absolutely the right choice.
Yeah. Well, I didn't need a Grammy. I didn't need a Grammy to tell nomination to tell me that, but it was really nice because, you know, we had it twice before with the presidents. And that was thrilling and everything and made a big difference in our worlds. And we went to the Grammys, and that was fantastic because, you know, it was in the old Shriners Auditorium where I think it's where the Oscars were held in the, you know, heyday, like the 60s and 70s in Hollywood. And it was a beautiful environment and super fun. And back then we lost, but we lost to Nirvana and the Beatles. So what are you going to do? You know, you can't really beat those folks.
It's kind of hard to.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel too bad about that, but it was really nice to find my voice, do it all by myself on my own, because I always felt like I should not be in a band. I should be like more like a sculptor in a studio, like sculpting something, or a painter, working solo, working toward this like very clear goal. And so to achieve a nomination while doing it my way with my vision was incredibly satisfying and very flattering.
It's very prolific to be putting out 17 albums of new stuff. I mean, do you have a schedule, or is it really just like when the inspiration comes?
No, it's kind of, well, inspiration's always coming. I'm always working on tons of songs. They're all kind of in different stages of disrepair, and I kind of hop around and you know, I'll listen to one day and go, oh, those background vocals need to be tightened up. Okay, let's work on that. And then the next day I'm like, hey, there's a little, you know, handheld recording of me making something up. I need to develop that. So every day I'm doing something different. But
Wow.
yeah, so, and then when it's time to make a record, I skim the best like 40 songs out of the batch, and then I listen to them and find an album of 20 out of that are really good. And if the other ones I might discover, I might have like a gut feeling like, it just doesn't feel right, something's wrong. And then like 2 years later, I'll realize, oh, it's supposed to be a lullaby, or it's supposed to be from the third person, not the first person, or it's supposed to be about a bat, not a cat, or, you know, or it's supposed to be in a different key, or, you know. So my gut always pays off when I have the patience to wait for the songs to kind of bloom on their own time.
Now, one song especially we'd love to hear about is Long, Long Dream from the album Sing Along.
Yeah. Yes, Al was gracious enough to play on that. I sent him, we weren't in the same place when that happened. I sent him the song, you know, email. I think he threw it in his recording program and did this incredible so the solo on the song is all Al. It's 4 accordions.
Wow.
1 bass line, 2 rhythm, I believe, and 1 lead. And so when that part of the song hits, it's 100% Al. And it is so satisfying. It's so pro. I mean, it's way more virtuosic and pro than any solo on all my other Casper albums. Like I don't take, you know, solos that showcase my virtuosity because I don't have any. All my solos are kind of melodic, like, you know, a melody or something. But this is like a rare appearance by some serious virtuosity on a Casper album. So, and he did a great job recording them, and it sounds awesome. And I was super proud to put it in the liner notes. Weird Al Yankovic appears courtesy of Volcano Records, a unit of Sony Music Entertainment. So it's nice to get Al in the business of back of one of my records.
Where did the collaboration come from?
I just thought of it. It was the song needed a solo, and coming up with a solo for these Casper songs is always really fun because I like it when the song kind of goes into a different world for the solo, and it's like a little song within the song, kind of. And that album, early on when I was making these records, in the first 5 or 6, I did a lot of guest musicians and stuff. So I was always thinking about like people I could invite. I got Steve Turner from Mudhoney to play on one. I got Stone Gossard from Pearl Jam on another song, and a bunch of other kids musicians have kind of pitched in, and so yeah, Al was just on the list. Oh, Chris Novacelic from Nirvana played bass on a Nirvana cover, actually, on my 3rd album.
Wow, that's cool.
3rd Casper album, yeah. So I had all the grungies collected, so I just decided I'd branch out and get Al.
That's so great.
Well, he did play Kurt Cobain. He dressed up as Kurt Cobain for a video, so he's kind of a grungy.
Right.
He's a grungy by proxy.
Yes.
Right.
So you mentioned that you have the new album coming out May 1st. It's called Bug Out, but it wasn't initially scheduled for May.
No, it's scheduled. I usually put out a record mid-August, and then sometimes I'll pepper in another one if I'm ready. So that's why there's 17 in 10 years. But I was going to put it out in August, but then this whole shutdown came along, and parents and families are just like dying for new content. So, and the record was done. I mean, it was long done. So I woke up one morning about 2 weeks ago, and I was like, wait a minute, I could just put it out now. And I called my distributor, and he was into it, and so we scrambled. And I think the turnaround between that phone call and the release is like 5.5 weeks or something. So
it's incredible.
Yeah. So it'll be out digitally on the 1st and then physical on the 8th. So, and it's called Bug Out, which turns out to be a kind of a prophetic title. There's a bug out there, and we can't go out because of the bug. So let's bug out.
That's right.
Yeah.
And is it all songs about bugs?
There's a lot, actually. I don't do themed records. I decided that, although some, I do a little bit of theme.
Yeah.
I have a Christmas album. I have 2 lullaby records. I have 2 albums of Beatles covers. Mm-hmm. So there's a few with themes, kind of. But, it turned out I looked at the track list, and I was like, oh, there's a lot of bugs in here. So I'll call it Bug Out. And I'm always looking for a short, like I've got Keep It Real, Away We Go, Here I Am, Sing Along, More Please.
Yeah.
I like these little short phrases. So Bug Out, I think it's the shortest one I've done. It's only 6 letters. So usually they're right around 12 or 13 letters. So I'll lie in bed at night and I'm thinking of future album titles, and I'll count the letters. Be like, oh no, that's 1 letter too long. Okay. So Bug Out is definitely the shortest.
Yeah. Well, now I guess the challenge is, can you get even shorter than Bug Out?
Mm-hmm. Right. Just call an album Pooh.
But that exclamation point, do you need the exclamation point?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, you got to count the spaces and the exclamation point, too.
Right.
So, yeah.
Because if you're going to name it Pooh, there has to be some sort of exclamation point, at least one.
Oh, yeah. Well, every album of mine has an exclamation point, actually. Every
really?
title. Yeah, oh, yeah. Every title is shouted. So you have to, when you read them, you have to shout in your mind.
So I wanted to ask you about this song that you wrote when you were 23 years old, somewhere between 1988 and 1989.
Yeah.
It is a song that you later re-recorded, but it's called "Are You Going to the Weird Al Concert?" And I'd love to hear about this.
Are you going to the Weird Al concert? Going to the Weird Al show? Going to the Weird Al concert? Well, we gotta go. Yeah, that's my childhood friend Dave Thiele and I. We've had a band since I was 10 and he was 6, and we still have a band. So that's my longest collaboration. It's a beautiful collaboration because we've made 1 EP, but over the course of our, I don't know, what is it now, like 40-year or 45-year collaboration. We have not put out music because we tried recording and stuff, but really our collaboration is about being in the moment and just jamming and doing this like, you know, grungy, dirgy, kind of repetitive, trancy jam stuff. And it's really fun because it doesn't have anything to do with, you know, selling records or any of that stuff. It's just about being in the moment and playing. So Dave and I made that song up. We've written a handful of songs together. Actually, there's a song on Kudos to You called Poor Little Me that Dave and I wrote together.
Oh.
Yeah. So, Dave's he was the fourth president. He's the auxiliary member of everything I've ever done. And yeah, he and I wrote that song. I really don't remember much about writing it or why we wrote it or who came up with the main stuff, but it was super fun to record. And then, when Al and I started hanging out, I sent it to him, and he was gracious enough to, give me some affirmative thumbs up on it. It's a very sloppy 4-track recording. Do you guys have it? Have you heard it?
I know you re-recorded it for Me, Myself, and I, the Weird Al tribute record in 2002, but I don't know that I've heard the original.
Let me see if I have it. Weird Al concert. Oh man, I don't know if I even have it. Let's see. W-E-I-R-D. I always misspell weird. Oh my gosh, I don't think I have it in my... That's weird. Why would I not have that? Okay, now I've got to hunt that down. I don't know. I wonder if I called it something else. Oh, I bet I misspelled weird. Yes, I did. Oh my God, I misspelled weird. That is ridiculous.
Wow.
I think I misspelled weird for the first 35 years of my life. Okay, wait, let's see if we can play it. Oh yeah. I'm gonna go see Weird Al. Yeah. Mom drives one way, your mom drives home.
Where's my 10-gallon hat made of styrofoam?
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. It's so rough, 4-tracky.
Oh, I love it. Now, so my understanding, Dave and I were talking about this earlier. So you did that Midnight Star, the Weird Al fanzine interview. You mentioned that this song existed.
Interview came out right around the time that Al's album Bad Hair Day came out with Gump on it. And, the internet was, people were kind of gathering and, it was relatively new. And all the Al fans got together and were like, I've got to hear this song. This Are You Going to the Weird Al concert song? And I think that it was one of the Weird Al super fans. His name is Insane Ian. He kind of tracked you down, and he was able to get you to somehow re-record the song or record the song for his tribute album.
I think we had recorded it before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think Dave and I just got together and re-recorded it for the hell of it.
Yeah.
Just because we liked it. It was like something to do on a Sunday afternoon,
So what was Dave's reaction to Al parodying your song?
Oh, he was super into it too. He couldn't believe it. Yeah, he was amazed. I mean, there's so many things. As I've gone along my trajectory, I call Dave every once in a while. I'm like, well, Dave, I just had a long phone conversation with Wayne Kramer from the MC5, and and because Dave turned me on to the MC5,
yeah.
And I'll call him another time. Well, Dave, I just traveled all the way to the Netherlands to play with Iggy Pop and the Stooges. So I'm always calling him and telling him these ridiculous things that we could, again, the kids watching MTV on the couch would never have possibly dreamed of.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, hey, Dave, how's it going? Yeah, I just played 2 sold-out shows with Tom Petty, and so Dave's always has this kind of silent bemusement every time I tell him some crazy story. So, more of the same.
That's amazing. I'm so glad that you guys have kept this friendship and this band together for so long.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Yeah, it is. In fact, Kate's parents live about 40 minutes north of where Dave, the job he got offered was in Ohio, in Hudson, or near Hudson, Ohio. Mm-hmm. Well, he lives in Hudson, which is 40 minutes south of where my wife, Kate
came from. And so bizarrely, I go back to Ohio like at least twice a year, and I see Dave. So, and now he has a jam space in his basement.
Oh,
and
that's so cool.
So our collaboration is just like kept going because this miracle that of all the places he ended up and of all the places my wife's parents could be from, they're like right next to each other in Ohio. So weird.
That is weird. It's meant to be.
Yeah, I was just there in February, and we had some amazing jam sessions. We set up a octave low, like a baritone 2-string, and yeah, we had some good jams. He plays 2-string and 3-string too, so yeah.
I'm sure this has been answered online and a million times. Where does the 2-string and 3-string come from? Is that an invention of you guys?
No, I got it from Mark Sandman from Morphine.
Okay.
This band from Boston. He played a 2-string slide bass. And I'm actually looking right now at what he called the squashed star. It's like a Supro or like an airline guitar that's all red and kind of vinyl-y and plastic. And it was the guitar that I first picked up in his house and played and was blown away by it because it was a 2-string and I'd never played a 2-string. And I just was like, oh, this is my home. I love this. And so about 6 months or 8 months before he died, without any warning, he mailed me this guitar, and it showed up in a big box and had a very cryptic note that just said, "You're in charge of this now."
Wow.
Yeah. So I still use it. I have it set up as a 3-string now, a slide 3-string, and there it is. It goes like this. So yeah, it's one of my main axes
That is so
in
cool.
my little
Wow.
well-curated collection. So yeah, he just had it. That's his style. So he was experimenting with a version that was not a slide version, but a version you could finger. And I picked it up, and yeah, just felt like, oh, there it is. That's what I want to play.
Now, in the Gump video, Al plays with a 1-string bass guitar. Have you ever thought about playing a 1-string bass?
Oh yeah, yeah. In fact, so I have a plan. I want to create very small 1-string guitars for babies that have a built-in amplifier that can get distorted. And the string would be substantial enough that it wouldn't be twangy. It'd be like a nice tone. And then you would stagger the frets so that it would be a scale. So the point is the baby will never be out of tune and will never hit a bad note.
I love that.
And that way the parents don't suffer. And so I'm on the hunt for a guitar company that is willing to collaborate with me on this. So if anybody out there wants to collaborate, I've gone down the road with a couple companies but couldn't quite get it all finished, and it's still a concept. Every time I describe it to parents, they're like, "Oh my God, please! We've been living with an out-of-tune ukulele for 6 years." You know?
I feel like the guitar needs to have like a recording feature so you can, keep all of the masterpieces these babies are.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Recording.
I like that.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, that might be Mach 2.
Mach 2.
Yeah.
Not Mach 5.
No, not Mach 5. Yeah.
Keep it in earlier.
Exactly.
All right, I've got a nerdy president's question that's just been on my mind for many years, and I'm hoping that you can answer this. In the song Some Postman, there is the lyric 1993, and I'm just wondering, what is the relevance of that?
Oh, because that solo is like, no, 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 no. It always reminded me of Nirvana, of like, feed kids for food. Dun, 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 where the change is mood. So what I was singing in the solo reminded me of that. So 1993, the height of Nirvana.
Thank you.
1993. Yeah.
Finally, I can sleep soundly.
Yeah. I was ripping off Kurt Cobain, so I thought I might as well put a big Post-it note on it.
Oh, I love it.
Well, when I don't want to, this might come off weird, but when Nevermind came out, I was writing songs so much like that, like kind of these dark, weird songs. I had a 3-string acoustic guitar with a contact mic and a distortion pedal, and I was making these like dirgy things. I wasn't living in Seattle, though. I was living in Boston. And I was unaware of what was going on in Seattle. And when Nevermind came out, I remember thinking, oh,
there it is. I don't have to make that record. There's the record I was trying to make, and just giving up on that whole batch of songs because it was so much better just to listen to Nevermind. So yeah, I've had. I mean, that album. I'm not alone by being blown away by that album, but I'm still blown away by that album.
Some of the Casper stuff is on Sub Pop Records.
Yes, I have I'm not on Sub Pop Records, but I have a sort of affiliation with Sub Pop in that they sell Casper albums at their store at the airport at SeaTac.
That is exactly, I bought some of your stuff there.
Oh, look at that.
When I was in Seattle for Weird Al.
There you go. And they tell me, my people at Sub Pop tell me that I'm the best-selling act at the store in the airport. So
wow.
So because of that, they invited me to play at the Sub Pop 25th, was it 25th or 30th anniversary celebration last summer or 2 summers ago. So I'm not really a Sub Pop artist, but I have this Sub Pop relationship, which is great.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, Megan Jasper and I have become friends over the last couple of years, and I love her. She's so fantastic.
This is so awesome. I've really enjoyed talking to you, going through the career, going through your Weird Al connections.
I think we covered them all. Did we cover all the Weird Al connections?
I think so.
Yeah, you've got the parody of Lump. You've got the Al directing your music video. You've got Al appearing on your album Sing Along on the Long Long Dream track. Now I guess you wrote the song about Weird Al.
Yeah. There we go. Okay. I think we've covered everything. Yeah.
I think you've covered pretty much everything. I guess the only thing that's left is now you've just got to get Al to do a parody of one of your Casper Baby Pants.
Oh, that would be incredible. Yeah. It's funny. I wonder what he's going to do next. He's been so crazy busy for the last few years. I think he might be secretly loving the shutdown. Not, of course, for a lot of sad reasons, but for the reason that I think, I don't know, it just seemed like a break would be beautiful for him. So I think he's enjoying the downtime to some degree. But, yeah, well, Al, if you're listening and you get, you're itchy to do something creative, let's talk about a Casper cover. Casper parody, yeah.
I want a collab song where the two of you write it together, record it together. Let's have a whole new band.
All right. We can end this with this story because this is embarrassing.
Okay.
I actually, so one night in, I don't know, 2002 or 3 or something, I'd had a few scotches and I was in my studio hanging out and I suddenly got this idea for a parody song and I called Al, which I thought was a great idea. And I was like, yeah, I got this great idea. You know that REM song, Everybody Hurts, where they're stuck in traffic, the video, everybody's in their car and there's like a subtitle with the thinking. So my version was Everybody Poops, and it was everybody in all the cars were desperate to go to the bathroom, but they couldn't. So all their subtitles were like, oh my God, I wish I'd gone when I was home. And I pitched him the whole thing, I thought about it. And at the very end, I imagined when Michael Stipe's voice would go high in the song, like, everybody hurts. It'd be this long sweeping track shot across a Utah desert salt plain with a porta potty way in the distance, and it would go barreling across at high speed. And just as it would get to the porta potty, the door would kick open and it'd be Al, and he'd go, everybody poops sometimes, so hold on, Of course, I go through the whole pitch, and there's silence at the other end of the line, and he's just like, I'm sorry, Chris, I don't accept parody offers from other people. So. And he was just kind of like, yeah. So and then all of a sudden I realized, oh shit, I completely overstepped, and so yeah. So I was like, okay, I'll talk to you later, and hung up. Yeah.
That's amazing. I hope that I hope that you one day put out that song.
Well, I am actually making, I'm making this 4-song 7-inch, Casper 7-inch.
Yeah.
And 2 of the songs are parodies.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. They're all covers. I'm covering You Got Your Head On Backwards by the Sonics, which is a band from Seattle that's like a very influential band from the 60s that kind of, the seeds of grunge were planted with the Sonics. And I performed with them a few times, and that was my song I did with them, so I did a Casper version of that. And then I did a Casper version of I Feel Love by Donna Summer, which I kind of turned into a banjo song, like a countrified version of I Feel Love, which lyrics are intact with those two. And then I do a rewrite of Free Fallin' by Tom Petty, and I've made it Free Crawlin' about a baby who for the very first time is up on all fours. Now you're free crawling. And then the last one is a parody of Queen's "We Will Rock You." The title's the same, but I've done it as a lullaby. So "We Will Rock You" instead of not rock, but rock.
Right.
Yeah, which I actually sent to Al to get some feedback on, because I haven't really asked him this. Well, I've asked him a little bit, like, his attitude about parodies is you definitely want to get, like, permission from the songwriters. I don't think technically you have to,
Right.
but he's a gentleman about it, and I'm going to try to do the same thing with these 2 parodies, even though I'm on my own. I don't really have a lawyer or anybody. I don't know exactly how to do that. I don't know how to contact Brian May and ask him if it's okay. But I figured Al would know because, another one rides the bus. So
Right.
there's a Queen parody connection in the family there. So anyway, that's all recorded and done. Now I have to do all the sort of business end of things and get the licenses and figure it out. And then that's going to be a vinyl 4-song 7-inch.
That's awesome.
Which I'm going to do a Kickstarter for and have Jason run. Yeah.
And I will support it.
That's right. Okay.
Chris, thank you so much. This has been such an honor to have you on the show. We can check out babypantsmusic.com for all things Casper Baby Pants. We're going to pick up the new album Bug Out, coming out very soon, May 1st and May 8th on CD. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you bet. Take care, guys.
That was so much fun. Chris Ballew is such a talented musician. I'm so glad we got to interview him.
Yes, thank you so much to Chris for doing that amazing interview with us. And he even sent us his brand new album, Bug Out, before it even came out. So that's been amazing to listen to. I've been listening to it and other Casper Baby Pants stuff quite a bit since we recorded that. And you know what I realized, Dave? Casper Baby Pants music is pretty much brand new Presidents of the United States of America music in disguise. So in the interview, when I asked him if we'd ever get new music from the presidents, the real answer is we pretty much already are.
Yeah, it is such a great album. I'm so glad that he's releasing it early, and I'm so glad that he sent it to us. Now, Ethan, I know that Gump is one of your all-time favorite songs. Did you know that I have 2 pieces of Gump memorabilia in my Weird Al collection?
What? No way, Dave.
I'm pretty sure I showed these to you when you came over, but the first piece I got is from the Gump music video, and I picked up this piece at Alcon 98, and these are the actual gold boots that Al is wearing in the music video.
Whoa. That is so cool. Have you ever put them on?
I have not actually tried those on, and here's the reason why. Because on the bottom of one of the boots, there is actually still attached some dried up mud from the actual music video shoot.
You got to preserve that mud.
Right, so I don't want to put on the shoes and dislodge that piece of dirt that is attached to the bottom of the sole of the shoe.
All right, if you ever do, and some of that dirt does dislodge, I'll hope that you'll save some of it for me, Dave.
I will trade you some of the dirt from the music video shoot for that amazing piece from the Smells Like Nirvana song.
I think I'd have to trade it for a little bit more than a piece of dirt, but I'll trade you something else for the dirt. So what is the other thing?
The other thing is also from the Weird Al music video, and this one I picked up pretty recently. I'm not sure if you actually got to see it yet, but this is the actual guitar, the 1-string guitar that Al plays in the music video.
Wow. Now that is an instrument I could learn how to play.
It's really easy to play. It's a real actual guitar. It's not like a prop guitar. It's an actual guitar, and there's just one string going down. It's a heavy guitar. It's you've seen the video. It's green and kind of got that really cool shape to it.
Yeah.
It's really a cool piece. I don't play guitar, but I do think I could figure this one out. It wouldn't be that tough.
Oh, that's so awesome.
So those are my 2 pieces from the Gump music video. I'm hoping to track down some other things because I want to be able to recreate the entire Gump music video in my backyard. I just need to install a fountain.
Well, I'll be Ruth Buzzy.
Now that I would pay to see. After our interview, Chris sent us both versions of his song, Are You Going to the Weird Al Concert? That's the one that appears on Insane Ian's Me, Myself, and I Weird Al tribute album, plus the actual unreleased original version.
Oh, man, I'm just too excited, Dave. Let us listen to the world premiere of the original version of Chris Ballew's Are You Going to the Weird Al Concert?
I'm all out of nachos, call my pal. What you gonna do? I'm gonna go see Weird Al. My mom drives one way, your mom drives home. Where's my 10-gallon hat made of styrofoam? Plays my face at the top of the charts. $5.99. Fred Meyer or Kmart. Are you going to the Weird Al concert? Weird Al show. Are you going to the Weird Al concert? Well, you gotta go. I've been known to shave. I got happening hormones. Think I'll call a girl on the phone. I know how to bang my little head, but get me home by 10. I gotta be in bed. I had to leave home, I felt so caged. I got to the arena, my mom had me paged. Going to the Weird Al concert, Weird Al show. Are you going to the Weird Al concert? Well, you gotta go. Are you going to the Weird Al concert, Weird Al show, Weird Al concert? Well, you gotta go. I like Weird Al. Brother likes Weird Al. You like Weird Al. My parents like Weird Al. Weird Al concert. Weird Al show. You're going to the Weird Al concert. You gotta go. You're going to the Weird Al concert. Weird Al show. Weird Al concert. You gotta go. We're going to the Weird
Wow, I love that. It's such a catchy tune, and going to a Weird Al concert, I mean, that song really speaks to me. Thank you, Chris, for letting us premiere it on our podcast.
Oh, Dave, you know what? We have something else that we can world premiere on our podcast this week.
Ooh, this is really exciting. 2 world premieres in one podcast. What is it?
All right, Dave, think back. Do you remember your first grade teacher?
Oh, yeah, Miss O'Hara. She was really cool and very nice.
All right. Well, did she ever make you guys a music video for your classroom?
No, I'm way too old for any kind of music videos in the classroom. I mean, I guess she could have made one of those 35 millimeter film strips.
Okay, boomer. Anyway, my first grade teacher, Mrs. Roy, one time I was just like looking at my hand and I extended my ring finger, not my middle finger, my ring finger. And she was like, Ethan, go to your chair. And I got in trouble. So I'm not too fond of Mrs. Roy.
Ooh, yeah, I could see how that could ruin the rest of your academic career.
I never recovered from that. I turned to Weird Al and never looked back ever since.
So there is a first grade teacher that I know both you and I would really enjoy.
Yes, and we got to meet him in person at one of the Seattle Strings Attached Tour shows that we went to. Steve Allen, also known as Mr. Allen, that guy who you're thinking of, he just put out a brand new music video with his own theme song. And it sounds a little bit familiar, so I want you to check it out here. World premiere on Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
It's Mr. Allen's first grade online classroom.
Learning is fun.
It's Mr. Allen's first grade online classroom.
Elmer's Eagle soar.
It's Mr. Allen's first grade online classroom.
Our classes are the same without you.
Mr. Allen's first grade online classroom.
Wow, that is so awesome. It is yet another awesome parody of the greatest podcast theme song of all time, our very own Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast theme song by Grammy-nominated Jim Chemo West.
If you are musically inclined and you'd like to record a cover or a parody of our theme song, send it to us and maybe we will even have a world premiere of it on the show.
Cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what people send in. So, is there anything else you want to add before we wrap this episode up?
Trust me, I'm so freaking excited that we got to have Chris Ballew on as a guest this week. But, to be honest, there's just this little tiny piece of me that's just a little bit bummed that we didn't get to, do an entire episode about finances and accounting and taxes.
So, would you say you're 0.73% upset?
Exactly.
I'll tell you what, Ethan. I will let you do the Don Ferlazzo ad all by yourself this week. Will that make you feel better?
Will it? Yeah! This week's episode brought to you in part by the Don Ferlazzo Allstate Agency in Clifton Park, New York. If you drive like crazy or about to buy you a condo, Don Ferlazzo and his team can help you with crazy good auto, home, and renter's insurance. Plus, the Ferlazzo Agency can protect all your favorite stuff, like the dirt on the bottom of your gump shoes. You may think your insurance is good enough for now, but don't wait one more minute. Find the Ferlazzo Allstate on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or give them a call, 518-278-3543 for a free quote today. The Ferlazzo Agency. We sell insurance, and that's all.
Now, don't you feel better?
I do.
Good.
Thank you.
Each week we can bring you this podcast absolutely free due to these sponsors and every single one of our listeners who support us over at patreon.com/2000inch.
Patreon helps us pay the bills and ensures that we can continue doing what we love, and that's making fun, family-friendly, entertaining Weird Al podcasts for you. If you enjoy the podcast and want to support our making of more quality weekly podcasts for your entertainment, please consider joining our Patreon family and supporting us, or even sponsoring us, over at patreon.com/2000inch. We have supporter tiers that start for as little as $1 a month.
And there is another way you can support the podcast as well. That is to visit and purchase something from our official Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast merchandise shop. Ethan, we have some great stuff over there. We have a Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast logo tote bag.
Whoa!
You can use that tote bag for when you go shopping and you pick up your New York Times newspaper. You can head on over to shop.2000inch.com for that tote bag and other great items.
Thanks again to Chris Ballew, Vincent Anderson, Mr. Allen, and all of our listeners, subscribers, and of course, our Patreon supporters and sponsors over at patreon.com/2000inch.
We also want to thank everyone who follows us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We are at 2000inch. And for those of you who've joined our Facebook group group.2000inch.com, a thank you to you as well. Be sure to join us in conversation on social media using the hashtag 2000inch and hashtag Gil and Chill.
Find us online at 2000inch.com and make sure to share our posts, tell your friends about the Weird Al podcast, and leave us messages to play on the air 27 hours a day by calling 347-SPATULA.
One last thing I want you guys to do, I want you to go over to Apple Podcasts, to Google Podcasts, to Stitcher, or the podcast app of your choice, and hit the subscribe button. This way, you will not miss a single episode of our amazing, wonderful, fabulous podcast.
It's so amazing and wonderful and fabulous, Dave. I just can't take it.
Ethan, before we end this episode, there's one last question I got to ask you. Are you going to the Weird Al concert? Weird Al show? Are you going to the Weird Al concert? Well, you gotta go.
Which Weird Al concert? Which show are you talking about?
Are you going to the Weird Al concert? Weird Al show? Are you going to the Weird Al concert? Well, you gotta go.
Which one? Seriously, Dave, which show? I'll be there. When? Dave? Dave, you there? Hello? Dave, which show? Which one? Did they announce another show? That was Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, episode 50-inch.
And that's all I have to say about that.